Well, there's no doubt that one of the best things to come from the last 2 years of insanity are the new connections and the friendships that have been made. We've seen the power of protest bringing people together, but another organisation that's been instrumental in helping people find solidarity over the last year has been Stand in the Park. Every Sunday at 10 a.m. across the world, people have been going to their local parks to find companionship and company. Sophia Rose, who we just saw briefly in Alice's film, is the founder of Stand in the Park UK. We first spoke to her last June when Stand in the Park was just a few months old. I caught up with her again a few days ago and asked her how things have developed over the last year.
When I started back in February last year, we were so isolated. We'd just been kind of thrown into all of this, and there was this really panicky feel. We were in lockdown. So it was just that simple premise of come together, also to kind of, draw our line in the sand and say, right, we're meeting regardless. We're going to stand here because we've been told you're not to be together in any way. You were only supposed to be out for an hour of exercise and all of these ridiculous regulations. So there was that aspect, but most of all, it was we need to find each other. And I do think it was the call and people responded, and I do think that's why it's been so popular. Yeah.
When we spoke before, we were talking about the fact that it almost certainly saved people's lives, and since that conversation, I meet people that have been to these stands all over the country, and I hear more stories of the fact that that is absolutely the case. I mean, obviously, as a founder, you must hear all sorts of kind of uplifting, but also probably heartbreaking stories as well.
I do. I get so many messages from people. I've been in quite close contact with a fair few people that have really, really been going through it, and that's the great thing about the stands, is that it's that support network for people. It has been a lifeline. I mean, when I started, I was in that kind of place myself. I was quite fortunate to have mostly awake family, but other than that, it was a very isolating time. So yeah, it's been a lifesaver for many of us, and it just shows the power of what happens when people do come together. That connection is so vital.
Have you seen your own stand? Because I presume you go to a stand in Hertfordshire. Have you seen that grow a lot?
Yeah.
And I know it's not about you and it's not about me or anyone else, but it must feel incredible for you to think, I was part of the beginning of something that has just evolved in such a way. It must give you a buzz almost.
It does. When I stop to think about it, I am like, oh wow, I do feel really humbled. Actually, I think it's really a privilege to be able to be in a position where you can touch that many lives in such a positive way. Often I'm just really working. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to keep this all rolling. So often I'm just kind of getting on with it. But yeah, there are those moments like when you do get a really poignant message from someone and they absolutely mean it, that this has saved their life. And it does, I think, wow, no matter what happens, I can look back and be grateful that I was able to be of service to people during this time.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what kind of, not obviously great details because we'll probably be here all night, but what kind of stuff goes into it behind the scenes then for you in terms of the planning? I bet there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of organising, messages from people, and because I guess everyone just comes to you because you're the hub.
Well, I'm very lucky that I do have a really great team. I mean, we're very, very small, very dedicated. But yeah, I mean, just the sheer volume of emails, just the logistics, the advertising of things, the keeping up with all the social media. I mean, there's just a whole heap of stuff constantly going on to just keep it all going. There's so many inquiries, lots of people wanting to get involved, and again, you know, there are so many kind of offshoots to this that it's just a lot of work really, but it's very worth it.
Have you seen a change since there's been a lifting of, I mean, I know this is okay UK, I mean obviously Stand in the Park goes around the world and restrictions are very different in different countries, but with the UK obviously with the restrictions essentially being lifted, have you seen a change in how people, the number of people maybe that come to a Stand in the Park or the activities they do, or you know, where people just go, do you know what, we're done now and we'll go back, or is this is a tribe for life?
I think for many it is a tribe for life. So, I mean, there are so many hundreds of stands, it's very difficult to kind of get a gauge on all of them, obviously. But, you know, I'm certainly aware of the Stand and many of the ones that have been going for quite some time. It is a tribe for life. We're friends. Nobody wants to stop standing. There are always more people joining us. So, even with restrictions eased, we've got more and more people waking up to what's going on. We've got a lot of people who have had the jabs and are now like, whoa, no more with the boosters. And they're starting to get an idea, and it's like, well, you know, where do we go? And we're generally the first port of call, really. So I think they do change. You know, when restrictions are tougher, people are more likely to make their stand and be out there. But to be honest, they do seem to be going from strength to strength regardless, because it's the connections that make them.
And I suppose thinking about it, I mean, I'm really lucky in the sense that obviously, you know, with a surname like mine, I've been around kind of stuff since day naught. But I do know a lot of people that have lost their friendship groups. They have done, you know, they've lost people that they knocked around with from work or whatever they could have a beer with, you know, that don't want anything to do with them anymore. So I guess actually thinking about it, they come to the Stand with the restrictions being lifted, they still then wouldn't go back to the Dog and Duck to meet up with their old workmates, because that's kind of, those bridges have been burnt, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a big social aspect to this as well, you know, at the park, but also outside of it. It's like the stands themselves are kind of the linchpin, and they've become the focal point, and that's the place that new people will come to. But like I said, there's so much other stuff that has sprung forth from the stands, and it's just evolving and changing as the times are.
And people can still start their own stands if they want to.
Yeah, they are. We're still getting new ones in every week.
Fantastic.
So yeah, anyone can start a stand anytime, anywhere. Just get in touch, and we get people going.
How can people get in touch? I mean, most people that are listening to this, to be fair, will know exactly where to get in touch. But those that aren't aware, where do they go?
So to actually get a stand off the ground, people can simply email stands@astandinthepark.org. You can also, just for information and to see what we're about, check us out on our website, which is astandinthepark.org. And every stand from around the world is listed there. We are on social media, of course, so we're clinging on just about to Facebook. There's the Facebook page. We've got groups for many countries. You just need to you know, go into the search engine and look for us. We're on Instagram, Getter, Telegram. There's lots of ways to get a message through, but the email is the most direct route for getting a stand.
Fantastic. But it's such a good idea. Thank you so much for joining us, Sophia, and thanks for everything that you're doing. Literally saving people's lives. It's incredible.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.